Hey guys, it's Nena, and today I wanted to have a bookish chat about author events. So recently I've attended a few different author events slash book signings, and I just wanted to chat to you guys about my experience. Of course, I do not have any footage from these because I was too chicken to vlog, but I thought I'd just sit down and let you know how it went and who I saw. And I would say I was directly inspired by Nana on Instagram. I will leave her link down below, but she always posts really interesting quotes and pictures from events that she's been to. And I'm like, I live in New York too, why don't I go to more of these things? So the first one I went to was an event with Sloane Crosley at Madewell, and she was doing a reading and a Q&A about her book, The Clasp. I thought it sounded like a fun event because Sloane Crosley is super cool on Twitter. Like, she's always tweeting the funniest things and like really witty. And it was at Madewell, that's close to me, and I was like, okay, I have no good excuse not to go to this. But I was so nervous. I don't know if nervous is the right word, but I had some worries. One, what am I gonna say when I meet her? Like, what do you say when you meet an author whose work you admire? I don't know. Two, I'm not gonna know anyone, and like, I don't know if it'll be weird, or I like doing things by myself, but there's still that like, just sometimes you want to have a buddy for like moral support. So I was like, I'm not gonna know anyone, but I'm gonna go anyway. So I went and it was really fun. She was being interviewed by her friend Starlee Kinney, I wanna say, and they had like really great banter, and then she also read from her book a really funny bit and talked about her writing process and you know, how the story came to her, and I really enjoyed the event. And there was champagne and snacks. So all in all, it was a really good thing. And then I was standing in line, practicing in my head, what am I gonna say when I meet her? And I think I was pretty chill. I was like, I really love your book. And I'd taken, since I knew I was going to the event, I'd taken my actual copy that I read, and you know, it had all these tabs, and she was like, oh my god, like, I love the way that you color coordinated your tabs to the book cover, and I was like, that was semi-intentional. The point is, it was just really nice to chat with her. In the moment, it was totally fine. Like, I had a human interaction. It was cool. I don't know when exactly this started, but more and more as I read, I like to find out more about the author and more about why the author wrote this story, and I've just become more interested in like getting a wider context, I guess. I see articles about, you know, books that I'm reading, and I save them until after I finish, and then I go and read up interviews with the author or discussions, podcasts, whatever, because I want to know more about their lives and their book. So it was really cool to hear her talk about the process and also just meet her and say like, I enjoyed this, I think you're a great writer, and looking forward to your work. Then I went to a second event in, was it in February or end of January? I don't know. I went to another event, and this one I was super excited about, and it was a conversation between Garth Greenwell, who wrote What Belongs to You, which I'm hearing amazing things about, and also Yanagihara, who wrote A Little Life, who you guys know I love. Oh my gosh, I was like, I have to go, I have to go. So the author did a reading from his book, and it was really lovely. You know, not everyone can read well, but as he was reading his words, he was very lyrical and poetic, and happens to be that he also is a poet and he was an opera singer. Like, what a cool background. So you can see some of those influences just in the little bit of text that he read to us. He was conversing with Hanya, and they were just, she was asking great questions, and they were just having, it was just so interesting. It was so interesting. I didn't take my copy of A Little Life because it was really Garth's event, and I wasn't sure if she was going to be signing or what the deal was, but I ended up buying the paperback copy while I was at 3 Lives and Company, and she signed it, and when I went to shake her hand and meet her, I was fangirling so hard on the inside. I was like, play it cool, like, do not make a fool of yourself. And she was shaking my hand and kind of looking at me like, I know you, and like, she's like, your face is very familiar, and I was like, really? And she was like, do you follow the Instagram and like comment there? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I love you so much. I did gush a little bit, but I met her, she was so nice. I mean, it was just a couple minutes, and I wish I'd gotten to chat with her a little longer. Still, it was really, really nice to meet her, and she was like, thank you so much for your support, and I was like, thank you for your beautiful book, oh my god, you know, like that kind of thing. So that was awesome. And then I met Garth, who was also wonderful, and I told him that I used to work at FSG, who published his book, and I was like, I remember this title from like way back before it was a book, like when it was in the contract stage, and he was like, oh, that's so crazy, like blah blah blah. And so He was really wonderful too, and he also signed my book. So another amazing event. And then the most recent one I went to was for Álvaro Enrigue, who is the author of Sudden Death, which is a bonkers novel. I talked about it in my February wrap-up, so if you want to hear more about it, I will leave that link down below. But he was a character. He wrote the novel originally in Spanish and it was translated into English by Natasha Wimmer. And he was in conversation with, oh shoot, I'm forgetting his name right now. Daniel someone. Anyway, I will pop his name on the screen here because I'm blanking and I can't remember it right now. This one I went to because I finished his book and I was like, I think I got a small percentage of that while a lot of it was like totally over my head, which is not a bad thing. Basically, I wanted to hear him talk about it some more and hopefully get a better understanding of the book. And he was a total character. Like, he was cracking all these jokes but making fun of all sorts of things. And he'd say something and you'd be like, oh my god, did he just say that? Really enjoyed hearing him talk about his work and how he writes a novel because that's so fascinating to me. So he also signed my galley that I won on Goodreads, and he was like, oh, you have the cheap copy, like you have the cheap paperback. And I was like, oh, actually I won this copy on Goodreads. And he was like, wait, what's your name? And I was like, Nena. And he was like, yeah, I saw you were reading it on Goodreads. And I was like, oh my god, like I had no idea that authors actually, it just didn't occur to me that like an author would look at that and see that. And so I've rambled on and on, but basically I wanted to talk to you guys in the comments about author events. Do you go to them? Do you enjoy going to them? Are you nervous when you go to them? Have you ever met an author who you admire? Woo! Rapid fire questioning. What I said before about, you know, wanting to find out more about the book after I've read it, is that something that you look into too? Do you like look up the author when you're deciding whether or not to read a book, or maybe after you've read the book? So after I shot off all those questions at you, my general question is, how do you feel about author events? Sound off in the comments below. Tell me anything and everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to talk to me elsewhere, I am on Goodreads, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and I hope you guys are having a good Tuesday or whichever day you're watching this, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!